Hey everyone, you are listening once again to Goddamn Gamecube, the best goddamn video game podcast there is. We are picking up long after we left off with Dark Souls 3. It is the next installment following Bloodborne. We've all played this. We all like it to a certain different extent. I am going to kick things off here. I did a little digging. This game is an odd duck because, you know, as we mentioned, Dark Souls 2 was created without Miyazaki's involvement, partially his consent. This game started similarly, where he became the president of FromSoft in the interim, I want to say after Bloodborne came out, and this game was already on the roll without his knowledge, and he came back. I always liken it to, you know, you're teaching your kid how to cook something and they're starting to burn it, and you come back and you take the pot away and you're like, oh, okay. You had your fun. To his credit, he said that he had more to say. He felt that he learned a lot on Bloodborne, which informed the development of this game. You definitely feel it in the way this game plays. The design philosophy of this particular game was based around loneliness in the apocalypse, and I think that was pretty well executed. That was the vibe I got, especially towards the end and the DLCs. Miyazaki talked a lot about how he is not religious himself, but he is very interested in spiritualism and belief systems. I think that explains why there's a church every 5 feet in this game.
Yep.
There's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of sort of religious imagery, especially Bloodborne as well. That I was probably on his mind for a while. He feels this was the first kind of instance where he came out about this, where he said he feels that he's not good at direct storytelling, and that's why he kind of leaves a lot to the imagination. I think that's as prevalent in this game as it was ever. You don't really get like a concrete beginning to end conventional narrative until Sekiro. He was pretty much indifferent about the impact of this series because this was, as we all know, this was kind of meant to wrap it all up. Not just the Dark Souls games, but also Demon Souls and Bloodborne. He considers this a nice, neat bow of wrapping the whole experience about. He believes that, you know, because there's been a lot of influence on other games, other developers, and he thinks that no one in his experience has been directly trying to copy. Like, he thinks that other people, like he's talked about Lords of the Fallen and that other shit. And he's like, yeah, I mean, he says it doesn't matter. We all have the same, you know, like obviously everyone's influenced by Zelda, and
right.
You know, so people basically asked him, are you upset that people are ripping you off? And he's not. So I think that's cool.
Interesting.
Except for Neo.
Fuck Neo.
I'm the only one here who beat it.
It's true.
Also
it's
true.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, the goal here was to bring closure to Souls and move on, do something different. It's interesting because I feel like he felt like he had to do this. There's a certain amount of people have different opinions about this, but I feel like there's some element of obligation where we need to leave a good taste in people's mouth. I was very fun. I mean, I don't know how you guys felt, but when this game was announced, I was like, oh no, because I was still thinking about Dark Souls 2. I was like, it's going to be the same thing. Then I heard he was coming back, and the more I saw, the more that I was like, oh, okay, this is all right. I have some hope for this.
For me, because I played Bloodborne before, Bloodborne came out before this.
Yeah.
I played that and loved it. So I said, you know what? I think it's going to take something from Bloodborne, and I'm going to love this game.
Yeah.
I was pretty hyped for it.
Yeah, I remember seeing even like the gameplay trailers and stuff like that. I was like, oh, like rolling around and the combat looks kind of akin to Bloodborne's speed. So I was like, all right, I can
It's
get
a little
into
bit
this.
faster. Yeah. I will talk about this later. The original story and script for this game is completely different from what happened at the end, from the end product. I don't want to get too into it before we talk about what it actually is. But I'm curious about the development process and how far along, because there are trailers not too far away from release comparatively where it shows like High Lord Wolnir in the Yorm boss fight room. That whole thing was going to be completely different. So I'm curious if that'll ever come to light about how much changed and why. In the development process. I want to get into a little bit what is different about this game. For one, for the first time since Demon Souls, you have a blue meter.
Yeah, magic meter's back.
Yeah, and that is not just for magic as well. That is for weapons. You do something called the weapon arts.
Yep.
There's some cool ones for that. It's kind of, it's not quite a substitute, but it's kind of in line with the power stance kind of thing where you have a different move set. It uses that meter.
I do say I do infinitely prefer this blue magic meter to Bloodborne's like bullet system or anything like that. I think the system worked a hell of a lot better than
I
that
liked
did.
it. I didn't complain.
Yeah.
I had no complaints. I mean, like we said, the combat feels faster than Dark Souls 1 and 2. I was really relieved because I hated the way 2 felt, and this one, I think it felt better than Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's an improvement on Dark Souls 1, but you can continue.
Yeah, just gameplay. It's sheer the way the combat feels. I don't think it's too fast either. It's not Bloodborne speed. It's not Sekiro speed. It is just a little bit more fluid than Dark Souls 1. There's a lot of new covenants in this game. I feel like some of them are kind of redundant. I don't know if you guys play around much with them, but I don't know. I feel like the covenants have always been like part
the
of
covenants in this game, they're kind of weak too, because for a lot of them, you need to get the PvP drop items to actually rank up in them, or you have to, kill Silver Knights over and over and over again to get the drop. Ranking up is really annoying.
Ranking up is really annoying in all these games.
Yeah.
But when you have Way of Blue, you have the Blue Sentinels, and you have Blades of the Dark Moon, and they're all kind of
there's a lot of ways to invade other people in this game.
I mean, I'm not complaining about more options, but there's some redundancy, I feel. Poise is intentionally broken in this game. Do you remember that? Do you want to talk a little bit about that? The tweet.
Wait, what tweet is this?
Where I know exactly what
people
he's talking
were
about.
complaining about Poise, and so the developer responded, "Poise is working as intended."
Oh, that thing. Yes,
they had a
right.
very frank tweet.
Oh my
It's
god!
just like, okay, so you don't want this to work.
Yeah, so
people are very contentious about this. It breaks the game for some. I don't really give a shit, but it is. I mean, it's a shame that it's a step back compared to when it was working fine.
I mean, heavy armor builds and stuff in Dark Souls 1 were always these really funny clunk fests.
Right.
Yeah.
But now that Poise, I guess, it doesn't have the same, I don't know what the right word is. You don't get as much return on it.
Yeah.
Now it's not as worthwhile.
Basically worthless.
People thought it was broken.
Honestly, it makes it seem like this game copied a little bit from Bloodborne, where armor doesn't matter all that much.
Yeah.
So you kind of just use what looks pretty good.
Right.
Yeah. Fashion Souls is never my favorite thing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I kind of dig fashion souls.
Yeah, it's
It's nice if it's there. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just not a deal breaker for me, I guess. Speaking of Bloodborne comparisons, something that people had a problem with, I kind of agree on this, but it may be kind of a series identity thing, is the Bloodborne, I think, perfected the backstab thing where you have to charge it up. They took that away in this game. It's just a normal thing now. How do you feel about that, Greg?
I actually, I actually kind of disagree. Even though it was kind of derpy in Dark Souls 1 and 2, I like that it's more standard in this game. I always thought the charge up in Bloodborne, it for me was almost like, why would I do this? I didn't do it that often. Okay, I have to fully charge, and then I have to knock someone over, and then I have to do it. I just whacked away at people instead of even trying to do that. I didn't mind that it was sort of a return to form in that way.
No, I mean, it didn't
bother me.
I didn't think about it at the time. It's just a balancing thing that I guess is a different preference for certain people. In that vein, I feel like the Estus is very generous in this game. Possibly because we talked a little bit about this in the Bloodborne one. There are quite a few multi-stage bosses.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe the generous Estus was to compensate for them having more.
You can get up to 15 swigs in this game, right?
Yes.
Is it 15?
I believe you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And, well, also, we should mention that Estus was taken from Dark Souls 2. From this game where you have to find them. You have to find uses.
I did like that. Yeah.
I do like that feature. And you guys don't forget too, you had to split it up. There's the Ashen Estus as well that recovered the magic meter.
I was going to get into that.
So I mean, so it's all you have to kind of choose between how many you want for healing, how many
if you get into the weapon arts, it becomes a decision.
Well, I was going to say, like, I almost feel like in theory this is cool, but in practice I never did it.
Sure,
I
yeah.
never went for magic Estus. I have 15 sips, 15 health sips. I never went for magic recovery ever.
Yeah,
I never
depends
found,
on
I never
build.
found it
some
worthwhile.
people might feel differently if they did like a mage build or something.
I never found it that worthwhile.
Yeah.
Or
Anyway,
if you want to
that was
use
just-
the knife arc to like quick step through the swamp because you don't have the
that's
rusted
true.
iron
Yes.
ring.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
you know, it's a good point about the Estus Shards. I liked that being something you had to find because I feel like a major weakness in this game is a lack of meaningful drops.
Yeah.
So often, especially in the Demon Ruins area, you just get like a small Titanite shard. I'm like, I don't care about this. Like, like I don't need this. Maybe that was to promote like fucking around with different weapons, using the weapon arts more.
Probably. Also, like armor customization is also weaker in this game. Where
Right.
it's like Demon Souls where you can't.
Right.
You can't
Yes.
have like armor +1. It's only weapons and shields.
Right. I mean, and to its credit, you know, furthering that, the majority, I think, of the weapons in this game feel very unique.
Yeah. There are a lot
A
of
lot of
them.
really cool weapons.
There is a little bit of the Bloodborne school of making a weapon feel unique. There's a lot of using boss souls to get super cool weapons or even
rings and stuff.
Spells, too.
Yeah, too.
That
Like
was
classic
cool.
stuff.
Yeah.
That, you know, even stuff from Dark Souls 1 or 2 that, you know, weapons that old bosses used. I thought it was really cool.
I'm on the fence when it comes to the, you know, seeming like it's each weapon kind of feeling unique, just because I feel like depending on like the broad kind of classification where it's like, okay, you got like great swords, you've got like your hammer, shit like that.
Right.
To a certain extent, they're all going to have basically the same moveset. And
Yeah.
besides like the weapon art gimmick on a couple of them, it's like, yeah, they're basically the same thing. Like you
Yeah.
remember back when I was doing my strength build, and it's like I was using a great sword, but then I got the Yorm machete, and I was like, oh, nice, like it's going to be completely different. Oh no, it was the axe that I was using.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, this is going to be sick, and I swing it overhead, and I'm like, oh, it's the same fucking thing as the great axe, with the exception of when you do the charge attack for the animation. I'm like, all right, well, it's
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get that specific uniqueness of the hunter weapons, but I feel like that was also partially, I mean, it's Dark Souls, it's not Bloodborne, so you kind of have to have like the big broad scale of weapons that kind of feel a little similar in places.
Yeah.
There is the boss weapons we talked about with the souls, you collect them. Certain things are Firelink Shrine is in this game completely different. It actually resembles the Nexus from Demon Souls structurally, which I thought was really cool. But there are certain things where the hub in this game feels very utilitarian.
Yeah, I was going to make a joke. It feels very hubby.
Yeah,
Right.
where you have the one Lord of Cinder who transmutes the boss souls into weapons or spells, and you have the Maiden who you give the ashes to, who opens up more shop options if you. So it's personal preferences, whatever, but it feels very gamey.
I think a frustration I have with this game is I don't understand Miyazaki going backwards on some of this
Right.
stuff.
And this game also has another. She's called the Firekeeper, right? She is a leveler person.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like,
Why do we keep doing this?
Yeah, like I don't get it. Like we did this right in Dark Souls 1.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
I don't like how this central hub. Like, and what's funny? Some of my friends actually were confused about how to continue the game past the tutorial. How do I go to the first level?
You have to warp,
You have
yeah.
to warp.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I felt just
Do you
disconnected.
think that was like a technical issue? That was a last minute choice where it was not connected to the high wall.
Well, I'll get into that later. I have some
Yeah.
theories.
There's some lore theories, right? Why it's not connected. I think
Lore
that's the
and
case.
development.
Yeah.
There's a couple intriguing changes that they made to just the way the game plays. Now you have the Ember system instead of, I mean, every game has its own like humanity thing, but instead of hollowing, you would just have normal and Ember form. The torch, I think, is better in this game.
Yeah.
There's that whole level where you actually use it to, you take it out and you burn the maggots off you or whatever.
That's right.
I was
yes.
like, wow, this feels
That's right.
valuable instead of just a gimmick.
It's a cool mechanic.
The DLC added ice magic for the first time, which I
Yes.
thought was pretty cool. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen something significant added to magic.
Right.
I mean, I believe.
How'd you feel about Frostbite as an added status?
Oh yeah.
Did you feel like it worked? Did you feel like it was just kind of like a
I
cute
felt-
attempt? Or
I felt it was better used better when enemies used it against you than when you used it against enemies.
Yeah.
That's how I
like
felt
when
about it.
when one of those first bosses could do it,
Could freeze you. It's
Yeah.
like, oh shit, this sucks. But with you, it's like, I don't know. I'd rather just kill the thing than freeze it.
Yeah.
It's like a bad
Right.
bleed effect.
I was
going to
say it's like a bleed where you move slow.
It's cool, no pun intended, but
Well,
it's, yeah.
But when you get, I mean, I feel like they were like, okay, so what else we got? Do you think in an Elden Ring they're gonna add like low T as like it's like a stats effect?
dude.
Imagine like, what else we got?
That'd be so awesome.
That'd be
Actually,
really fucking funny. No, it's just kind of, it's a symptom of this game where you kind of, this is the case for any series where you start realizing it's time to wrap it up, where there's only so many new things you can do without changing it into a completely different game.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of little things like that. Visually, this game is spectacular.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a FromSoft game that is like finally up to standard.
Yeah.
Bloodborne was the
first
We should
one.
be careful though. The Bloodborne was the first one, but it ran shitty before they had to downgrade it.
Right.
Yeah.
This game sounded incredible right
Yeah, I
out the
think
gate.
from what I remember, it was technically pretty sound.
It was sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Very
I
much.
agree.
I talk about the sound design, the music, the boss themes are. This is something we brought up earlier, where if you're an experienced vet at this point, these early bosses aren't going to give you a ton of trouble. So you may not hear this music as much as the ones that you struggle more with. They included the soundtrack in the version of the game I got.
Yes,
I don't know if
that's
I think it was just the certain edition. They are real growers, a lot of these tunes. I think they're some of the better ones. Very interesting modes and production choices they use.
Small add-on there. I don't know if you have it in your pre-production notes. The dancer actually dances to the soundtrack.
Oh,
No
really?
shit.
That's
That's
so
cool.
cool.
Yeah, which is I didn't even notice.
I'm too busy frantically rolling to realize
right.
anything.
because all your clinking and clonking kind of gets in the
Well,
way.
she has those the very tense footfalls
and the
as
very
well.
deliberate by her movement, they were very deliberate swing along to the soundtrack.
That's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And at the end, this is something a friend of mine was playing the game again or watching the boss fight. At the end, when the soul of Cinder transforms into his final form, they play Gwyn's
Yeah, they
theme.
do.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it's
Nice
like
touch.
it's worked into the soundtrack very well, I think, and it's a very effective if you notice it. And
Yeah.
it's just like shit, here we
Yeah.
are. I mean, like I said, the action is super fluid. I had really good frame rate. I don't know about if you
Yep.
guys.
Yeah.
There were no Blighttown chugs in this game. I think the weapon animations are gorgeous. Really cool
Especially
looking.
some of the weapon arts. I didn't dive into weapon arts a ton in
Yeah.
any of the weapons that I used, but I feel like players always go above and beyond what I can do.
Yeah.
Also,
in terms of, but I've seen some crazy combination. Or I should back up a little bit. Crazy combinations of weapon arts and frame rate.
Yeah.
You guys ever seen those YouTube videos where people slow it down to the
Yeah.
tiny?
I was gonna bring up,
and you can dive just under
love
something.
that.
It's
Yep.
really good.
This game in particular, I remember being featured pretty prominently. There's a subreddit called Hitbox Porn.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's
That's
like,
what I was thinking.
and it's just like the knife edge,
Yep.
and that like for a series where with Dark Souls 2 you had being teleported into grabs and shit, you know,
Right.
it is a very welcome improvement in that respect.
Yeah.
I feel like the camera limitations were lessened. I don't remember fighting it as much as I did in previous games.
No, I just think on a technical level, like this game is what's the word? It's superior to
Very
every
much
other
so.
game in the franchise.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, as it is Dark Souls 3, and they didn't make a ton of super huge changes. I think I'd like to get into the meat of the game here a little bit. How it starts off, and I mean, here's a pretty important thing I'd like to talk about that people always rag on this game for. I would like to draw a comparison, or try to make a distinction between what is nostalgia fan service and what is using something effectively to create an emotional response.
It's a hard thing to do, and I think in this
person.
game there's some plus and minus.
Yes. Certain things I was like, okay, do we really need to see this? But a lot of the time I was like, okay, cool. Especially in terms of, whereas Dark Souls 2, we talk a little bit about how Drang Lake is theorized, or I don't know if this is anything confirmed, some people think it's one of the other provinces like Vinheim or whatever, years and years into the future. That means nothing to me because I haven't seen Vinheim normally.
Yeah.
So this is, as we all know, Lothric is the new kingdom, but it is built on the foundations of Lordran. So you see some familiar faces, you see some familiar enemies, you see eventually some familiar locations, and I think most of the time that is used to great benefit.
I was gonna say, like, it's something that I did want to bring up about the meat of the gameplay. Miyazaki, there's some humor here. I don't know if it's intentional, where Miyazaki redid some stuff in this game that he thought wasn't done well in his previous games that weren't done by him.
Yes.
Which is, I think is pretty funny. It's kind of mean, but I kind of have to disagree with him at some aspects where I don't personally agree that the new Anor Londo is better. Like, I just think it's different. I don't see his impetus for redoing it. I don't understand.
But the impetus for redoing it was, and I think this was done very cleverly in the game, was that he wanted the town below to be explorable.
No, sorry. I should say, like, I understand the point of, kingdoms on top of kingdoms and it being there. Yeah. But, I believe he said this in interviews where he redid, like, Demon Ruins and Anor Londo because he didn't think he did it right the first time. But I don't agree with that necessarily.
I think Anor Londo was pretty successful the first time.
I do
a lot of people don't because there is this kind of lack of enemy variety where you see a lot of those big towering sentinel guys and you see a lot of silver knights in the castle and it kind of becomes a grind. So I don't know, maybe if he had more time he would have changed that up a little bit.
Or maybe he meant he wanted you to be able to go to the town in the first place.
Yeah, that's what I think. And I think it's done very well where you don't know that's Anor Londo before.
I should say this. The positive, I said there was some positive and negative. You not knowing you're there until you're there is very cool.
Yeah, getting that big feel when you get out there and it says Anor Londo, you're like, oh,
when you
shit.
You see that elevator, you're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
And you come up.
Shit, here we go again.
Yeah. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. I want to start out from the beginning and how the presentation happens. That first boss is pretty fucking intense. He's not super tough, but he is very intimidating.
I'd put him right up there with like Gascoigne, like going back to Bloodborne in terms of like
You're
bosses.
talking about the tutorial boss?
Yeah, in terms of bosses that kind of like give you a hint of what you're in for. Like I'd put Gundyr up there with him.
The fact that he has that big snake or whatever come out, or dragon come out, that's a good sort of hint that a lot of these bosses are going to transform. They're going to surprise you at certain points. So I think it's playing fair a lot in that sense. I liked the intro is very different from Dark Souls 2. It's kind of more in line with the first game where they say here are the people or the main bosses that you're going to be encountering. This is kind of the lore of what's going on. You have sort of a clue and objective. You climb out of your coffin and you get to work.
They really reinforce the fact you're undead, huh?
They really do.
You're like, I lived, bitch.
Seriously.
So to continue what you mentioned earlier with the fast traveling, the warping. Like we said before, fast traveling from the start is not good.
I agree.
Especially when it's done in this game where people didn't know where to go, because you expect, okay, I just started this game. Like, you play this whole Cemetery of Ash segment, you get to Firelink Shrine, there is nowhere else to go. You have to touch the bonfire and warp to the High Wall of Lothric. That's not good.
No, it's not really intuitive. No.
Very anti. I mean, I'll talk about this later a little bit, but there is some implication that they wanted it to be connected. Later on, you find the Untended Graves dark version of Firelink Shrine.
Yeah.
And the way you get there is rolling off a cliff connected to the Lothric Castle or whatever.
Yep.
So it's there, but you just can't reach it because there's a ledge. And I'm not really sure. I feel like there was some backwards level design going on there.
I have no idea. I remember I was pretty worried, like, when I first started this game, when I said, one of my friends said, how do I even do the first level? I said, oh, you have to touch the bonfire and warp. And him and I both kind of groaned. We're just like, I don't know. It's got to be a technical limitation. There's no way that Miyazaki would do that unless you had to.
I think it was just a matter of, we already built this level and we don't know how to connect it. After that, it's frustratingly linear, but other than that, I really like the level design in this game. I think there's a lot of really solid levels until you get to Profaned Capital, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
I think in general, the level design is very strong. I think the NPCs are quite compelling in comparison to Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, and also quests are back, and your interactions with NPCs. By back, I mean they're fleshed out again.
Yeah.
Where in Bloodborne and Dark Souls 2, they're not very good.
Right. The NPCs that you meet are also very visually interesting again, where you want to learn more about certain people, even if there's some quests in this game that are kind of retreads or are disappointing, like the guy that I really like, he's kind of Bloodborne looking, the guy that is kind of hanging out at the top of Firelink Shrine, he's leaning up against the throne. He is more or less Lautrec 3.
Yeah.
When you finally do his quest, it's like, okay, I've done this before.
Yeah, again, okay, thanks.
There are some interesting ones. There's the guy who appears to be the new crestfallen warrior at first, but then eventually you have to fight him.
Yep.
He's like, meet me at the fucking playground and we're gonna fight. I thought that was really cool. There's some surprises when it comes to the quests.
Also, we should mention that the blacksmith.
Yeah,
in,
Andre's back. Everyone's dad.
Because you brought up fan service before, and I you know what's funny? I actually do think this is a minus, but I like Andre too much, so it's a plus.
Hello again.
Yeah, just like okay, like I think I literally said this to you. I said there's some obvious fan service, but I like it.
Yeah. It's like Andre being
it
there
made
right
me
at the
feel
start.
something.
Right.
Yeah.
It's cool. I'm like, oh my god, it's Andre. But then
I still wonder to this day how he got there. Like,
but if he's undead, it makes sense that he would be stay undead.
isn't there a lore? I'm not sure if it's total lore, if it's fan theory, but there's just many Andres over the years, and they just keep coming back.
It could be.
Yeah, it's like not the same.
Did you find that frozen one in the forest? in
Yeah,
Dark Souls
exactly.
1?
They all kind of look the same, so it's just a different guy, but he's still named Andre.
It's like Nurse Joy. There's like the same one in each city,
Exactly.
but it's just one big clan of Andres.
Yeah, it's entirely possible.
The Andre 3000.
I would also say, in addition to the level design being very strong, the enemy variety is very strong in this game. There's a lot of really interesting guys. Most of them are fair. There's some iffy ones. The guys in Irithyll really annoy me. The spinning knights.
With the infinite stamina.
Yeah, they
You might as well
all-
just run by them.
fuck that.
annoying,
Yeah, they're. I mean, on their own, kind of interesting, but the fact that they wander so free, it's kind of the Dark Souls 2. Let's just throw a bunch of them in the room. It's kind of same with the snake men that you meet later on. They're just kind of
with like the 15-foot long necks, and you can just get cornered and Yoshi to death.
yeah. There's. I mean, they all these games have questionable enemies, but some more than others. It's worth mentioning, but I really do like a lot of the enemies in this game. They're very unique. There's the ones with the ones you meet early on with the books. I'll cleanse the bastards.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
The
cool.
giant maces.
Yeah,
Really?
the
Yeah.
Farron
Those guys are awesome.
How'd you feel about the what was it in the dungeon there? The ones that if you locked eyes with them, they dropped your health. How'd you feel about
those
that?
guys.
Oh
mechanic?
yeah, they're kind of the new mind flayers.
Yep.
Where it's frustrating because you lose that health until you gotta sip to do it. But
And you get heavier too. I noticed, like you're rolling in
I
your
believe
actions
that's
get a
true.
little heavier.
Yeah.
very interesting concept for an enemy that they haven't done before.
But God, was it annoying? I absolutely hated
Oh yeah, it made for a very memorable area and encounter though. And I think that's the same goes for a lot of the bosses. There's a lot of even if they're not long or good, they're memorable. They're not generic knight 2.0.
Yeah, it's not Dark Souls 2 where you have 50 bosses and 30 of them are heavily armored warrior.
It's just enough already. I would say that there are a lot of nooks and crannies in this game as well. Oftentimes very rewarding for one reason or another. When I talked before about the Titanite shards, those are kind of in the open. Rarely are you disappointed that you went out of your way to find something interesting, whether it's an armor set or part of a quest or thinking about that I was amazed at how far that diversion happened in the Undead Settlement where you go to that little town that the flaming demon is burning. Oh, yeah. That is a fucking hike.
Yeah.
That is a very long diversion. I think that is, for the majority of this game, is very consistently rewarding.
And that's where you meet Sigmar for the first time. I think that's one of my favorite quests in the game.
Seek Ward.
Darn it, Sigmar is the first one. Sorry.
The other guy. It's a great. He has a great arc.
Yeah,
you do a great boss battle with him too.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
If you bring him in to fight the giant, it's awesome.
A lot of really cool. Just while you're playing the game moments in this game, like in the giant who throws the spears.
Yes.
Yes.
He helps you twice. It's not just a gimmick.
Yep.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
You make friends with him and he helps you.
Yep.
My first playthrough, though, I thought he was hostile and I killed him.
You son of a bitch. He's a nice boy.
Well, I texted you afterwards.
friend.
I said, was I supposed to kill the asshole at the top of the tower? And you're like, no. He didn't mean anything.
Oh boy. I mean, that's debatable because he was harming you, so it's
He
a
didn't
fair
know any
assertion to
better.
make.
He's just doing his job.
I want to get into the undead settlement, and the Farron Keep. That when you rise above, and you go to fight the stray demon.
Yes.
That was very clearly supposed to be connected. I think even when you go from the wall to the undead settlement, I think that whole thing was meant to be contiguous, and it was a technical limitation. I don't know why it happened after they pulled it off in Dark Souls 1, but you don't want to talk about the bridge,
Yeah,
where you have to plant the flag.
Yeah.
I think all that was supposed to be connected, and it was just going to be gated off by shortcuts and stuff. So it's frustrating that it's there, like you can see the other side of the bridge, and you just can't go back there.
I mean, that's probably one of the minuses of this game that Dark Souls 1 did better.
Yeah.
Where Dark Souls 1 really plays well to, I can see it in the distance, I can go there.
Yeah.
This game is I can see it and I can probably warp to it.
right.
That says in these games, if the game is going to look good, there's going to be some downsides to it.
Sure.
It seems like that's
Sure.
what it is.
That is very
unfortunately for the
fair.
series. Yeah.
Yep.
I want to talk briefly about the Farron Keep. When you're getting into the Road of Sacrifices and all that stuff, really interesting locations visually. More of those interesting enemy designs with those crow guys.
Yes.
I think that was really cool.
Yes.
Very when you're in the guys with the wings.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I haven't seen that before. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that in this game, but when you get down to Poison Swamp number 5,
Yeah.
it is to me, I am sick of that, but it is to me the most tolerable one because it's very interesting.
Yes.
And it's also the scariest one, I think, because you go down the first time and you're just here's another poison swamp, and then all of a sudden in the distance you're I'm like, what was that? And you just see something very slender, just skittering along in the distance, and there's those big goat guys, the
Grooves.
Yes.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
Those things are terrifying.
Yeah.
They're very aggressive. I think they're pretty fair, but they are
Terrifying to fight.
they're really intimidating at first, and then you see the giant ones that cast spells.
Yeah.
Those guys are even spookier.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show that the presentation, we're all sick of poison swamps at this point, but the presentation goes a long way.
I'm also going to say, like, that poison swamp is one of what's interesting about Dark Souls in general.
Yeah.
There's no puzzle solving in the game other than shortcuts.
Right.
But in the poison swamp, you get like your first puzzle in like
Yes.
the whole franchise. I forget if it's either lighting torches or unlighting them.
It feels like Zelda.
You're putting them out.
You're putting them out, right?
Light torches out, rather.
That
Yeah.
it was originally going to be 4, but they made it 3 because 4 is an unlucky number in Japan.
Wow.
Oh.
Right on.
It has to do with death.
Huh.
Huh.
I don't know.
Okay.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I like that whole area a lot. I like the Abyss Watchers quite a bit.
Yes.
You know what? I'm going to go off on my read on that situation is that here's the thing about Artorias. They're all devoted to him. They don't know that his legend is bullshit.
Yeah.
That you were the one who stopped the abyss. So they are unfortunately kind of destined to follow in his footsteps and be corrupted as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kind of seeing the consequences of the universe in this game. Like the Crystal Sages are acolytes of Big Hat Logan.
Yep.
A lot of just kind of seeing some payoff to the broader, like, here's the thing. If it's Dark Souls 3 or Dark Souls 2 at the time, I want to see some Dark Souls stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see a progression of that plot. Otherwise, just make a completely different universe.
Yeah, it was nice to see like certain elements. It wasn't like a repeat, but it was more of a continuation where it's like, oh, this person was inspired by this in the first one, and it's like it's a nice way.
I
to
like
just
seeing
kind
that
of,
in most universes. The little diversion you have when you go down to Smoldering Lake. I want to talk a little bit about that.
fuck that place.
Fuck that place for one. But here was my reaction upon finding that, because it is a diversion. It is a good hike, and it rewards you immensely for exploring.
Yeah.
You have to go down that bridge. when you get down there, my impression of, we talked a little bit about this in the Dark Souls 1 episode, that Ash Lake it's the lowest point in that game geographically. It is below everything else. It feels very disconnected from everything that's going on. Like the thing that's nearest above it is like Demon Ruins. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so this is kind of on its own plane. It's very serene. There's all the chanting in the background. When you get back, the Smoldering Lake is Ash Lake in the future. And even this is now on fire. And it's like, okay, so even this most precious place that's totally divorced from everything is being reduced to ash.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was like,
the EPA.
I was like, oh shit. Like, you know, it's an affecting moment because it's something that you're familiar with, and it's raising the stakes a little bit to see that there's nowhere safe. Like this whole world is coming to an end.
And isn't that where the Demon Ruins are remade?
Correct.
Yeah, you break into them a little bit later.
Yeah, that's, if I could bring that up, I said it a couple of minutes ago. Why did they? I'm stuttering. I found that area strange. The little tiny demon ruin maze, like why?
And then you get up to the ballista.
Yeah,
that was a dumb mechanic. I get it was trying to be challenging, but it was just more frustrating. That it's like, all right, this area that I have no idea where anything is. I'm running around and exploring, and I'm constantly having to roll every 3 seconds to dodge giant like darts coming at me.
And the giant sandworm.
Yep.
That the people think is Solaire for some reason.
I love that stupid theory. It's so damn
they
funny.
think it's Solaire
because he got the bug implanted in him in the.
It's so damn funny, and I love it.
It's like cast lightning.
Yeah,
So
he
it's like a
evolved into the
lightning
Alaskan bullworm.
Oh my god!
I mean, can't you actually use the ballista for yourself once you get up there and use it on the sandworm?
You can.
That's pretty cool.
I do it every playthrough. You can hide behind a little thing. You can do the lay down emote, and you can just let the ballista keep shooting the worm.
Oh, I was talking about like once you actually get up to the actual ballista, you can use it.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
No, you can just turn it off, I think.
Oh, turning it off. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. You see the little note there, or at least I did, that says "Time for Revenge," and you can kill the people that are operating it.
Yes, that's what it is.
That is when I mean, it's pretty spectacular. The first time you see Irithyll, you come out of the big cavern, and this was a little clue where it makes more sense in retrospect that Anor Londo is named for the Tolkien. Anor means sun, and Ithil means moon. So they were giving you a little. I mean, it's not the exact same word, but Irithyll sounds kind of similar. So I think it's like two sides of the same coin essentially. Yeah. It's basically after the illusion is dispelled. It's the nighttime version of Anor Londo that you see in the first. Yeah. Game. It's very overrun with spookies, loads of spookies. Yeah. You see the giant blacksmith is dead.
Yes,
it's a very affecting moment. There's a lot of this. It's not. I don't consider it too much fan service if it's making you feel something.
I like some of that stuff.
But also inherently the world is built on the last one, so you have to try to have it make geographical sense.
Yeah. From a lore perspective, I liked how they tied in, like, you know, taking that area and using it again, but being like, oh, like Pontiff comes in, basically takes over the place, and then introduces Aldrich in there, and it's like it was a nice, again, it's a nice way to just kind of continue a theme, but still add like a new twist onto it.
I really like that area. The only thing that I don't like are those enemies I mentioned earlier.
They're hard, man. And when you first get into Irithyll, you can't progress until you beat that giant dog thing.
Yes.
Yeah, on the bridge.
On the bridge.
And you can run from it, it'll just show up again later.
Yeah,
also,
that's true.
You need to actually, I didn't even mention this, you need to beat Cathedral of the Deep first.
Yep.
Oh, you're right.
To get through that barrier.
You're right.
Love that level. That is very, very well designed level.
Bowling for deacons.
They're just funny. I like
bowling for deacons.
Yeah, with Boulder Heave, it's so damn funny. Yeah.
I love that we started that build just to see if it could work.
Correct.
And we finally did it and worked.
Yeah, it was awesome.
You could either get Havel's Ring or you could get this useless pyromancy.
Where you
give me the pyromancy.
Yeah, we're gonna burp up some boulders, please.
I wish they included like a bowling pin sound effect just for that.
My God.
I'm sure that exists.
That's gotta be on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah, I really like that boss just because it's so derpy. It reminded me a lot of I like it when they go back to the Demon Souls, let's be surprising and different kind of thing.
Well, it's kind of a better version of that Dark Souls 2 boss in the church. What was it? The Conjuring
Prowling Mantis. Jesus. Oh, fuck. God, I guess so.
I guess it's better than Royal Rat Vanguard. Or, sorry, what was the multiple rat fight in Dark Souls 2?
That was it.
That was Royal Rat Vanguard?
I believe.
Yeah.
Pontiff. Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a better version of that one.
Yeah,
too.
the Deacons were a cool attempt at a puzzle boss, though. I will say that.
Yeah,
'cause
the
I
music
remember
was great. It was fun to figure it out.
But like all mob and puzzle bosses, certain weapons just don't work very well, and it makes the whole fight really frustrating.
You got to cut through the crowd and find
Oh, yeah.
the
using like a
Pope.
pokey spear or something ain't
Hard
gonna
to do.
work.
the Hey Arnold Pope moment.
oh, great. Why does the Pope have to be in town today?
Oh my god. Yeah, but that it is interesting that the path forks and you need to do that before you get into Irithyll.
True.
The Irithyll bosses, holy shit. The Pontiff one, I didn't have as much trouble as I did with some other ones, but it is a very interesting skill check
Yeah,
moment.
Pontiff was super interesting. The first time I played through the game, I fucking demolished Pontiff.
Right.
Now, every single time I play it, I can't beat him.
He's
I
really
don't know what
tough.
the hell I did.
Have any of you ever pulled off his intro jump parry? Like
I have
style,
never done that.
when he leaps in.
When he
think so.
leaps in and you can parry him right off the
Yeah.
bat, I've
Yeah.
never done
I've
it.
never been able to do it. I wish I could. It'd be sweet.
Have you seen someone do it?
Yeah.
Yes, there's
yeah.
a lot
So
of videos. There's videos
It's
out there
impressive.
of people just trivializing Pontiff just by parrying the whole time.
Like
Yeah.
that one hit kill at the very beginning with a parry. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, and then you get up to Enerlando and you go back to the Ornstein and Smaug room and you fight Aldrich, who is an enormous pile of sludge, and he is one of the main villains of this whole game.
He's currently eating Gwendolyn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And what I think is really cool about that is it uses his theme music a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
A little bit of his music. I think Nito's music is kind of in there as well, which is
okay.
I don't know.
It's all intentional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all on purpose. I love that boss. How it's eating him, so it's controlling him like a puppet.
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
using all his old magic against you. And the way the music kind of crescendos as the boss fight goes on is very climactic.
Yeah.
I tend to do him last in the 2 or 3 times that I've played that game, just because it is such a intense climactic moment.
Yeah.
I like to go through the Irithyll dungeon
Yeah.
first, get that out of the way. I think the profane capital is generally agreed upon to be undercooked.
That's a light way of putting it.
It's
Yeah.
Bergenworth syndrome all over again.
Yeah.
You've
It's
got
just
this-
it seems very visually impressive at first. You see this enormous cavern, very striking architecture, and then you get down there and it's a couple rooms.
Yeah, it's
I like the design of those enemies. They kind of look like the jailers, but they're all in white and they're all around the treasure and everything. It was really cool.
Yeah.
That is when you encounter Yorm the Giant. I have a couple interesting things to say about this.
Yeah, I do as well. Go ahead.
This is where, if you are doing Sigurd's quest line, he appears. He gives vague hints that this is what he's doing the whole time. He is old friends with Yorm, and he shows up to put him out of his misery. I like this. I did his quest line just religiously the first time I played it, so I got to see this scene, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!"
It's fantastic. Yeah. Well,
You're talking with the Katarina Knight?
yes.
Yeah.
He walks in and he's you think you're going to be alone, and he just shows up. I like it a lot better than if you were doing it alone, because what it does is this is the return of the Demon Souls weapon Storm Ruler.
I love it.
I love it. It doesn't make sense, but I love it. Here's my one gripe about this is that number one, it's there in the boss room. If you don't have Sigurd with you, it's just there.
Yep.
I think there is still an extra copy there. But if he shows up wielding it, I was like, holy shit, he is Storm Ruler.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense to me though, because the point of Storm Ruler is that when you were fighting the Storm King, it cut the sky.
Yeah.
That is not relevant when you're fighting Yorm the Giant.
I mean,
Well, I believe I could be wrong here, but don't they make reference to him being the Sky Giant? Am I wrong?
Is he? I don't know.
I think I
I
could.
didn't see that.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's no lore implication of the forest being in the same location, right? Where for the magic of the
No,
sword to work.
I just meant that the purpose of the blade, it's not a normal weapon. It cuts the sky.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess he's tall. So
Yeah,
maybe-
I was gonna say I viewed it as like, oh, you need like, and if you want to, I don't know, there's probably some physics behind it of like, oh, you make like a air slice thing, and for an enemy that big, you have to hit the whole
Right.
thing at once.
Okay.
Like, that's how I looked at
That's
it. I was
fair.
like, oh, that's kind of
I
cool.
was so pumped that weapon was back in the game.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Dark Souls that it just, you know what it doesn't have, to its credit, and
Yeah.
I think it does this well. There are no cinematic moments in any of the games.
Right.
Example, you don't get okay, we'll just bring up a very obvious moment. Oh my God, Ganon hit the Master Sword out of my hands. What do I do?
Right. Yeah.
The Master Sword is a thing that you use.
Yeah.
There's none of that in these games. You have your fucking reinforced club, and you go and you go after Gwyn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no intro for him. There's,
I guess what I'm getting at is there isn't like the weapon that does the thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
I have my club and I do it.
Yeah.
But what I really like about Stormcaller and Storm Ruler
Yeah.
is you actually get a cinematic moment where Dark Souls can show off a little bit of that side a little.
Yeah.
And you get a little taste of it.
And it's extra impactful if you've been there since the beginning. Because if someone has only played Dark Souls 1, you're not going to know what that is.
Yeah, it meant nothing to me.
Yeah,
No,
I had
just
no
I
clue.
saw that and I was like, this is fucking awesome. And I knew when I picked it up, I knew exactly what it was.
Right.
So
Yeah.
can I comment real quick?
Yeah.
I can't remember another time in the Soul series where I'm talking about the Sigurd quest.
Yeah.
Where he joins you in the boss room. He says a couple of lines. I don't recall any other NPC quest ending like that. An NPC joins you in a battle, says, "I'm here, old friend," and goes to fight.
No,
I
I
don't
don't think
recall
so.
that
There.
happening.
So
Well, you can summon him, but he's
Right,
not.
right.
He
Not as
doesn't
a character
enter.
moment.
Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I mean. It's like a character moment. That's what I mean.
you know what
Yeah.
I guess I could say? I guess Dark Souls 1, Solaire, I guess they undercook him because he has a huge connection to Gwyn that they don't really use.
Right.
But I
Right.
guess in Dark Souls 3, you get it.
Yeah.
I actually didn't do that quest right off the bat. I did it a little later.
Same here. I did a later
Yeah.
playthrough.
It's unfortunate that that and Orlando are kind of dead ends, and then you have to
Warp back. Yeah.
or whatever you want to do. But that is kind of when you get a little Bloodborne moment with the if you kill all those Lords of Cinder, it turns into the Eclipse, which
Yeah.
is very visually
Yeah.
striking because the sun looks like the dark sign.
Yes.
That's a nice little motif.
you're right.
That is also when all the guys on the bridge hatch and all the pilgrim butterflies
yeah.
start
Yeah.
coming over.
That's right.
Very visually arresting moment. I was pretty surprised the first time I saw it. I didn't know what the fuck I was looking at.
Right.
It was really cool. I like the level design of the castle quite
Yeah.
a lot. I think it's very strong.
Yeah.
The bosses are cool. The Dragon Slayer armor.
Yeah.
That was a fun fight.
What I did want to say about the castle, what I think about Dark Souls 3, I think if I could just back up just for a moment, I think the grand negative of Dark Souls 3 for me is I had a lot of franchise fatigue playing this
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, sure.
Where even though there were a lot of fan moments in Storm Ruler and Stormcaller that were cool, I'm a little tired of these games.
Yeah.
Because I also played Kingsfield between Bloodborne and this game.
That's right.
And so that's kind of number one for me is franchise fatigue. But number two, if I were to do a positive, what the rest of the franchise didn't do well is you get to the end of the game and it doesn't feel like the end of the game. It just kind of feels like they kind of tripped into it and it ends. What I like about Dark Souls 3 is when you do all this shit and you start climbing up the castle, you know that you're getting to the end of the game.
Yeah.
It actually feels right.
The arc
right.
of difficulty is very, very clear.
You know, and I mean visually too.
Well, that too,
like,
yeah.
an example, like when in Dark Souls 1, when you get to Anne Orlando, it looks like that's the end of the game.
Right.
Right.
I was actually, what's funny is I was beating Smog and Ornstein recently, and someone who was watching me said, "Oh, did you beat it? Is that the game? Did you finish the game?" I said, "No, that's actually like the 40% point." But
Right.
it doesn't make a lot
Yeah,
of sense,
right.
even though it's cool.
Yeah.
But you get what I kind of get what I mean.
Yeah, I
I feel
gotcha.
like in terms of emotionally and the arc of the game in Dark Souls 3 feels correct.
Yeah.
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 Totally agreed there.
It's the two princes also.
Yeah.
Very climactic fight once you get up to the very top of the
Next favorite.
I despise this boss fight.
I feel like-
Really?
not from a design standpoint.
really good,
It's a cool
man.
boss fight and it's pretty sweet. I suck at this boss fight. It kills me so many times every time I play.
I feel like everybody in here had a problem with a different boss.
Yeah.
Like,
Ooh.
I destroyed the Twin Princes.
my God.
I ate it up.
I really loved the part where, because the one prince is crippled, he
Yeah.
can't walk, but there is one attack where he just about manages to stand up, and it's terrifying because
Yeah.
you don't
And he
think
just
he's
you're
capable
like,
of
Hands
it.
down. Yeah.
And then he falls back to his knees. But it was a really cool and well designed boss, very interesting visually. I'd like to talk a little bit about the secret areas and the secret
Yeah.
bosses. They're all pretty closely connected. You kind of can't do any of them without doing the others, I believe. This starts with the secret garden
Yep.
and
yes.
the ocelot guy.
Oh yeah.
He's like a bloodborne reject. with the he's cradling an invisible
baby.
Or
Right?
They
fake.
deleted it in the American version.
Yeah,
Dead baby
in all
dot
versions.
JPEG or
All
whatever it
versions.
was.
So fucking bitmap.
No, dot bitmap.
Right?
Baby
So
dead.
weird.
It's a very memorable boss.
Yeah.
He's screaming about his little ocelot the whole time.
I mean, if you squished your child in the middle of a fight,
I guess
You hear
so.
those baby cries. I don't know.
that was kind of cool.
Very imaginative boss.
Yeah.
But as you go on, we mentioned the dark Firelink Shrine. I thought it was really cool to find. You fight the super duper aggressive.
Champion
boss.
Gunder.
Yeah.
One of my favorites in that game.
That was a
That
fun
guy's
fight.
fucking tough.
Do the roundhouse kicks. Fucking
Oh yeah, that's
dope.
right.
Yeah, I mean, and I can't remember if it's there or the garden where you get the emote that lets you enter the dragon shrine.
Yes.
Archdragon
You're
Peak.
right. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
So it's interesting that all these secret areas are connected. Where it's if you push it a little bit further, I don't know how you would figure that out, like on your own. I was like, I
That's a
read
tough
some
one.
like fan soapstone messages to like
Oh, to like figure how do you use the dragon emote here to get
Yeah.
to
Yeah, I
would've
use
never
fan
figured that out.
messages, too.
Yeah,
It looks like that place looks like you're supposed to do something because everybody is just there's all those
They're in
statues
the-
chilling on. Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
like, the hell do I do?
I mean, and great moment. Once you do figure it out,
Yeah.
one way or another. What I liked a lot about it is that it makes it a very spiritual moment where you see it in the distance, the Archdragon Peak
Yep.
fortress, and your character does that emote where they sit down and they meditate and they kind of just space out and they wake
Right.
up there. So fucking cool. I mean, part of this is that I believe that architecture was originally intended for a different area, but a cool way to make it more interesting.
Yeah.
No way
Yeah.
to get there.
Yep.
I really like that area, even though the snake men are pretty much the only one you fight.
Yeah.
There's the cool little wyvern encounter. That's a very gamey moment.
Use the plunging attack.
The plunging attack is the most effective weapon in the game. I like that. I mean, I guess because it had a health meter, people were disappointed by it. I thought it was pretty cool. It was a
Yeah.
cool moment.
I've seen people glitch like the steps leading up to its head to the point where like you can do like a jump on the
Yes.
steps and then land on its head and do a plunge from like a 2 feet
Oh,
range.
that's great.
Yeah,
basically.
I've heard that before
Does it,
too.
does it kill it?
Yeah, it
completely?
kills it. It
That's
does the
sick.
death animation and everything.
That's awesome. No, I really like that area. It felt very Zelda-y to me.
Yeah. Except for all the enemies everywhere, like in that wyvern fight, like those enemies that you have to run through basically and just
Right.
like
Yeah.
constantly knocking
It's a
you
pain in
down
the
and
ass.
shit.
Yeah, I thought that fight was kind of a pain in the ass.
That
to be totally
kinda
honest with
sucked.
you. Yeah.
If as long as you keep moving, you're. Yeah, I really liked that. The Havel encounter. I was
that's
like,
right.
what
Yeah.
the fuck? What's
Yeah.
going on with this
that's
guy?
right.
I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with him. I liked the enormous dragon on the mountain that you see in the distance. I thought that was
Yep.
a very visually arresting moment.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we get to what was the toughest boss fight in the entire base game for me.
Oh yeah.
Was the Nameless King, who is the long-lost firstborn son of Gwyn.
Yep.
And holy shit.
What a fight that was.
I used to
Holy
just
crap.
come home from work and try a couple times and give up and then just keep doing
Yeah.
it. And the only way I was able to beat him was the Karthus Blood Ring, where it gives you a couple extra iframes when you roll.
Oh yeah. Yep,
You get that in the catacombs.
Right.
I love that boss so much. It's so
Yeah.
fucking cool.
That's another
Everything
two-stage
about it.
boss fight.
Yeah.
Now that I remember
Yeah.
it, because
You
he's
have to beat
flying
the,
first.
The wyvern, yeah.
Yeah, I forget what the
Whatever it is.
first boss name actually is, and then you fight the Nameless King after you
Right.
beat
Yeah.
That's
that
right.
one, Yeah.
So fucking cool. Everything about it.
Camera was the only thing that really pissed
That
me off.
you
Yeah, it
know
was
what?
rough.
The
When
first stage, yeah.
You know, when you mentioned in the beginning, it's like I thought you said, I thought the camera was better in this game. Like, there is one instance in this game where I hated the camera. That was it.
Yeah.
Thank you. During this fight, the camera was not good.
It was tough because you're in a weird spot. The finale of this game is really cool, where you burn all the Lords of Cinder, use their ashes, and you go to another version of Firelink Shrine, which is, and I have some theories about this. It's connected to a later DLC, but you walk out and all these kingdoms are kind of converging and colliding, and I think this is implied to be long in the future. And this is where the final boss fight happens. I think it's spectacular. This is, I mentioned in a previous episode of this one where I was going to bring up Pokemon Generation 2.
Okay.
You fight Red at the end of the optional quest line, and he has all the starters maxed out. I thought that was very similar to this, where you fight the Soul of Cinder, who is implied to be all the different chosen undeads of Dark Souls 1, perhaps. And he has all the different move sets of all the possible different builds. He can turn to a mage, does the spear build, all the different ones.
That's right.
That was pretty
so fucking cool.
Yeah, fun fight.
And then you, this is where the Estus management comes into question, where he regains his entire health bar and he adopts Gwyn's moveset. And it's just I thought it was really cool.
What I think is actually uncool about this boss is they spoiled the boss with a pop.
I was going to bring no, they put him on the cover.
Yeah, it's on the cover.
That's right.
And they just call him Red Knight on the pop figure.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Shit, but
no, but Miyazaki's like fucking fine. Like if you had to do one thing, just call him Red Knight. Yeah,
why not? I thought it was awesome that that is kind of cool that you don't know that that's the final boss.
Right.
It's just in the background the whole time. So moving on from there, here's something I want to talk about. This ending, there's a couple different endings that are all pretty good. Linking the fire is not good as always. It's just kind of boring and anticlimactic. Dark Souls 2 really bothered me because it had that one ending that said it doesn't matter. This ending, to me, my headcanon, we're gonna get to headcanon a little bit here.
Ooh, okay. I like it.
It's this ending with the whole everything colliding. This is what happens if you keep kindling the fire. Everything is, it's happening now in real life. Everything is becoming more crowded. Everything is, the world is a lot smaller. I think on some level this was intentional. He wanted to portray how everything is kind of, getting crushed. That's the way this is portrayed. You see a lot of old architecture. You see the fucking windmill from Dark Souls 2.
Oh yeah,
which is really funny.
That's probably symbolic for Miyazaki being like, that level fucking sucked.
It makes no sense, so I'm going to put it here.
Yeah, crush it.
Yeah. I thought the first DLC was okay. I don't know. It's probably lower on the end of DLCs for me. Yeah. I liked a lot of the enemies in that, the painted world I'm talking about. The 3-stage boss fight was fucking intense.
Pain in the ass, but
intense. I didn't have fun, but it was well designed, so I got to give it that. Something I do like about it is that the painted world makes no sense in the first game. It was just like the demo level.
It was the demo level.
In this game, they compound upon it a little more, that it's a new painted world that's kind of built on the foundations of the old one. You see it in the bottom in the ice. The way they talk about this, I can't remember what the NPC's name is that wants to burn it to the ground. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it wants to burn away everything.
No
idea. Actually,
it might be the final boss or the sister, one of those fucking sisters.
Yeah, probably Freed.
They want to burn away the whole thing because it's rotting and it's melting, and it's kind of similar to IRL, that the ice caps are melting and that pathogens, contagions are getting out that have been frozen for thousands of years. And so it's kind of very, it captures the spirit of the series in a way where it's the alternative. Do you want to link the fire? Do you want it to burn out? And it's like, do you want to get it over with, or do you want it to keep going and torture?
Right, torture. Yeah.
But you meet Gale during that. He's an interesting new character. He ties into the next DLC, which I absolutely loved. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, DLC in the series.
I would agree there.
I had a blast playing it. I think it's very visually evocative. There's a lot more of this apocalypse imagery with the angels, or the Book of Revelations, rapturous imagery going on. I really like the Dreg Heap as a location with the guy, like the Phantom pointing down. Donald Trump, Kim Jong-un, like pointing into the earth. There's a lot of cool little callbacks with the old Firelink Shrine makes an appearance. Those fucking bats. Oh my god.
Oh,
those
the
were
demon
tough.
prince. Oh no, the two demons, and then they make the demon prince.
Those are really fucking tough. Then you get into, I thought that was going to be the Ring City, but the Ring City is a completely different location.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is also really cool. Something that I did have to say about, with all this new, this kind of going back to old stuff in Dark Souls 3. I appreciated that the ending was something wholly original that we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
It looked like a very fully realized place it didn't resemble anything that we've seen before in the series. I really loved it. I loved all the new enemy types. There's those fucking freaky locusts. Dudes.
Oh yeah, with the faces.
The feast. Let the feast begin.
That's right.
They have some really funny lines. When they try to eat you, they say, "I shall partake."
Yeah, I remember that now.
I loved the animation for their branches where they make the big magic branches, and it's just like going up and down. Seriously.
And isn't there
Guys gotta eat.
It's like me using chopsticks drunk, basically. Just like
Yes.
Isn't there an enemy like that kind of looks like Dragon Slayer armor in there as well?
Yes.
Yeah, that was very
Dragon Slayer
interesting
armor.
too.
The giant.
the Dragon Slayer armor.
Ooh.
The item description, you get something off him, and it says this was cast down here thousands of years ago. So implying that it's been thousands of years since you fought him the last time.
Yeah.
So that's fucking crazy. I really like the giant guys that summon the spirits. They summon the fucking Dark Souls 2 guys.
Was it the educator dudes, right?
Yes, they summon the spirits of the Ruined Sentinels from Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, that's it.
I thought that was really cool because I hated those guys, and when I saw them, I was like, "Oh, okay,
All right.
that was
Cute,
cool."
they're back.
That boss fight was okay when you fight the big guy who summons the NPC. I was like, I've seen this already.
Yeah, it's already been done.
It was kind of cool, but the dragon I never beat.
Oh,
you never
Dick
beat
Eater
Madir?
Madir.
No, it's his health pool was fucking ridiculous.
That's one of the ones
I think me and you are the only ones that had issues with it. Meanwhile, these two were like, "Oh, he's blind. Don't worry about it." And I was
I had
like,
zero
"Bullshit."
issues.
Beat the shit out of him with a club.
I couldn't get a summon. So I was like,
I got a summon and I still got mollywopped. Like, it's just not fun.
that was like a maybe someday boss.
Someday hasn't happened yet,
Yes,
unfortunately.
not yet. But the way this all ends, I think, is really spectacular. Where you touch the egg, and the illusion breaks, and the little bubble of time has popped, and you see that now literally everything in the entire world is ash. It's a huge desert of ash, and that's where you fight the final boss. It's a very long cutscene where he's eating some leftovers out of the fridge. The guy Gale is now ripped, and
He got the anchor arms.
oh my god, I love this boss fight. It was so climactic. I love the 1v1 kind of thing. All his magic
And
is cool.
the huge battlefield too to fight
Yep.
him on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was nice.
was
Having
really
that
cool.
he has
unrestricted
he
space.
has a lot of berserk moves. He has that crossbow, rapid fire crossbow. I don't know. I love that finale.
Very like Artorias, flippy acrobatic
Oh
kind
yeah,
of style
it's
too.
very
It's-
shonen anime
I
kind
love
of
it.
thing.
Oh.
You get the blood of the titular Dark Soul from
Yes,
him.
you do.
You can give it to the painter in the painted world, and who knows what that means.
yeah, I did that and I still don't know what happened from it.
She created Yarnum. I don't know. That's my theory. It's the blood of the Dark Soul. It's bloodborne. That's my theory. So, I mean, that is the essence of the game. I think it's very successful for the most part. I'm going to wrap it up here with a little bit of details about what could have been and what would have been. This game was completely reshuffled. Yorm was going to be the first boss in that area. I don't know how that would have worked
The first boss in what area?
in the very beginning of the game.
Oh, the first area. Oh,
The very first
wow.
boss.
Okay.
There was a feature cut where you were going to make your own bonfires. I think there's like a little animation of that in commercials where you take, you get the coiled sword.
Yeah, and you can make your own.
Yeah, and
that's
you
kinda
stab like a body
Make
with it
your
or
own
whatever.
checkpoints.
Interesting.
Oh my god! It would have made the game either unbelievably easy or players are just too stupid.
Well,
Like,
there probably
right.
would have been certain areas where you could do it, or you didn't have a checkpoint until you did that.
Yeah.
Right.
There were set points. The high, as I said, the high wall was going to connect to the Elden settlement and so on. The original in the castle, I believe, there was going to be something called the Mother Dragon, and they repurposed that for the Mountainside Dragon. So that thing you were going to fight at some point. I mean, it's enormous. The Smoldering Lake was going to have the bats from the DLC. So if that area feels weird, that might have been why. They repurposed it. The Sandworm was going to be a full boss. Farron Keep was going to connect to Irithyll.
Oh,
Interesting.
A lot of stuff that I'm assuming was technical limitations, and they ran out of time or something.
Yeah.
The Aldrich was going to be in the cathedral instead of the deacons.
Oh,
Would have been an interesting way to fight him. As I said, Walnir was in the profane capital. There's actually footage from one of the ads where it shows him, and it makes sense because he has the bracelet, so he's in that big treasure hoard.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming the lore got completely reshuffled as well.
Yep.
What the big deal is that when you return to Lothric Castle, instead of the butterflies going over, it was going to be flying primordial serpents.
Oh, that sounds weird.
And so you see some of the statues later on of the guys. I was kind of disappointed that they didn't appear in the game at all because they're so fucking bizarre.
Yeah.
A lot of other stuff comes back. They don't. Originally, when you were going to fight the two princes, Darkstalker Kath was going to come through the window, and you would have to fight him.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
That would've been dope.
There is a lot of the promotional stuff you see in the sky flying serpents, which is, I mean, the possibility. I hope like some pre-release footage like gets out sometime because it sounds insane.
Right.
As I said before, the Archdragon Peak was originally going to be the Sand Kingdom, Karthus.
Oh,
So that's
That
where
would've
that goes. And originally, Pontiff was going to be the final boss.
I have heard about that.
That's where
Well,
you
I was going to say,
fight him
like,
at the
the
kiln
one
of
thing I
first
can
flame.
touch on is you starting in the dungeon, or I'm sorry, you had Yorm being the first boss.
Yeah.
I got ahead of myself. I assume the thought process was you start in the dungeon as a prisoner, like in the first game,
Start in the
and
Yeah.
Yorm, you have to beat him to get out of it.
That'd be interesting.
Because Yorm
I think that- well,
Yorm
they-
is at the bottom of the dungeon, technically, right?
Well, what I
Yeah.
meant was
Yeah.
that Yorm was going to be in that graveyard because there's a giant coffin in that boss
okay,
arena.
so I have it the other
Yeah.
way around.
But it would have been interesting.
it would have made sense with Pontiff too.
I was gonna say maybe they get the big interactive moment out of the way. You get Storm Ruler or Storm Caller
Right there.
4 seconds
Yeah.
into the game, and then you don't get to do anything cool for the rest of the game.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah. I mean, it would have been pretty simple
Yeah.
to start with. But I mean, I really hope that we see some of this cut content in the future.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna do it for Dark Souls 3. Do you
Yeah.
have any final thoughts, everybody?
Yeah. Final thoughts. I think everyone in this room likes this game.
Yeah.
I think this game is interesting for me where I like this game and it's hard for me to critique what I don't like other than I was kind of tired of the game at this point when it came out.
I think this was like it just about made the cut before I got tired of the series.
Yeah. We love these games,
Yeah.
but I think if franchise fatigue is really the word that I would use for this game.
Yeah.
Where I like it, the bosses are cool, all the lore, and it looks great. They're a big weapon variety, but I don't replay it that much because I'm a little tired of it.
Yeah.
And the big thing for me, I've said this across this podcast about this franchise. When you can't customize armor and put Titanite into it, I don't tend to replay it that much.
Okay.
Because I don't think melee playstyles differ that much unless you like being fashion souls.
Sure.
Which I don't really like. I don't tend to think fashion upgrades or fashion differences make a game fun or worth playing. I think it's goofy to play around with your friends like once.
Yeah.
And I don't really do it. That's really all I have to say about it. I wish I had more to say other than I do like it. I just got tired of the series.
Sure.
This game.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I think it is upper echelon. It is, I think, a lot of the emotional moments that I had playing, because this came out, I think, 5 years after Dark Souls 1.
Yep.
And the fact that I was so disappointed in the previous game made me appreciate it all the more. It was a lot of what I was looking for from that game. It came to fruition. I think had Dark Souls 2 not happened and Miyazaki this game be coming in development without Miyazaki's like knowledge or consent, I think it would have changed the arc of FromSoft a lot. He pretty much said, we're going to get this done, and then from now on, we're going to do new stuff.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, let's just put a nice little bow on the whole thing. And I think it achieves that.
Nick, you got final thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll agree with Greg here. I do like this game.
Yeah.
I actually do agree with you that I was feeling a little bit of the fatigue by
Right.
the end of it. At the end, I was just like, all right. That's probably why I get so frustrated at the Lothric and Lorien boss. I just want to be done with it. But either way, one thing I want to say about the DLCs is that they introduced a lot of really unique weapons in these DLCs. I'm going to get them mixed up, which ones you find where. But one, I don't know if you guys remember this one, the Javelin weapon. Do you guys remember this one?
No.
Where you could just huck it at long distances, and it was absolutely hilarious.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so the DLC has also introduced a PvP arena.
Oh yeah,
which is I believe is unique to Dark Souls 3. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's unique here, where you can just load in and just there's a whole bunch of people fighting at once.
Didn't not at once, but the first game didn't you? Do
Battle
that?
of Stoicism in the DLC.
Yeah,
So,
another DLC arena.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But this was a mass thing you're talking about, right?
A what? I'm
like
sorry.
like a multi
Yes.
opponent thing.
Yes.
I don't think
Yeah.
they had that in Dark Souls.
Yeah, it
1.
was basically a free-for-all fight in
Right.
the arena. It was very interesting. It was also fun using that javelin just throw at people who were running around.
we're dropping in, boys.
Yeah, exactly.
You tend to see a lot of like they pick us like Irithyll. There's a spot where people tend to fight, so it's
Yeah.
nice when they include a dedicated
exactly.
PvP area.
You know, one thing we didn't really talk about was all the different build varieties in this game. They introduced a ton of new gems and stuff to infuse your weapons with.
Yeah, that
Right.
was cool.
Yeah, like there's the luck based one. There's a ton of new builds, interesting stuff you can do here.
Yeah.
and for me, that's really important for a
Sure.
Souls game if I'm going to replay it, because I tend to do different things every single
I do
time
too.
I play a game. So having all those build options available is pretty awesome, in my opinion.
I agree. And Josh, did you have a final thought?
Yeah, I mean, fun fact: this was actually the second Soulsborne game I played.
Oh, that's right. So all the nostalgia stuff had no effect on you.
Yeah.
yeah, zero.
so here's
So much like the ending of
Yeah.
Dark Souls 2, this all meant nothing.
Right.
No, I started with Bloodborne and then I
Yeah.
played this. And I mean, yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. Touching back on what Beppy said, where I guess Pontiff was a concept for the final boss. After hearing, I love those lore videos that Vadi does on YouTube, where
Right.
like he really digs into like, oh, these implications for this character and blah blah blah. I really wish hearing that now that Pontiff was a concept for the final boss that like they went through with that, especially considering how you could have connected him to instigating all four of the
that was the
lords
idea.
there.
Yeah, that it was
That
all his,
if they did that, now that I know about that, I feel like I would have been a little more satisfied with the ending,
Right.
Because it feels like it would have made a little more sense. But I mean, Soul Ascender worked well too, so they're interchangeable, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, good. Fuck Midir. That's it.
Did you? So that's a good point that Nick made. Do you feel like it, despite not having played Dark Souls 1, that it stood pretty well on its own?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that because then I went back. I went Bloodborne, Souls 3, Souls 1, Souls 2.
Interesting.
Weird trajectory.
Very odd progression.
Ended in misery.
But yeah, no, I mean it stands up on its own pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess with all that said, we have made our thoughts pretty clear, and next episode we are going to get into Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.